Have you ever heard older people say that that's a man's job or that's a woman's job? This is a common phrase used in the agriculture industry all the time. Most people find it weird when they see women doing jobs related to agriculture. There are many jobs that women and men can both do when it comes to agriculture in the Philippines. I know this is a common practice in our culture because I myself work on a farm right now. People often think I can't do many things because I am a female. Well, they are wrong. People can be very biased when it comes to these sorts of things. There are many aspects to think about when talking about Philippine agriculture, such as jobs and education. Agriculture in the Philippines can be done by males or females. It just depends on the job that needs to be done. First, I'm going to discuss some background information about agriculture in the Philippines. First, there are numerous crops that can be produced. Some of these would include rice, corn, bananas, and coconuts. There are obviously dozens of others. Many of these crops will be exported to other countries. Because the Philippines export so much, the income is a huge part of the income for the country. Without this, the country would be considerably poorer than it already is. Men and women both work in the agriculture to meet the needs of people from other countries, but also people in their own countries. The largest amount of people in the Philippines have agricultural-related jobs compared to other jobs. Almost 40% of the jobs in this culture relate to some aspect of agriculture. I got this information from the Regional Office for Asia and the Pacific. The egg industry is broken down into 4 industries. Those 4 include farming, fisheries, livestock, and forestry. Men have mostly dominated the jobs in all of these areas. However, in recent years, women have started to play an important role as well. About 11% of women now work in agriculture, according to the National Statistics Office of the Republic of the Philippines. This percent continues to rise all the time. There are so many different jobs that men and women may have. The men mostly do jobs that require driving machinery. Those jobs are usually often dangerous, which is why the men usually take on the role of completing these tasks. The women are often involved in the planting, harvesting, and selling of crops. In forestry, women are the ones who implement all of the forestry programs, while the men are the ones who are out there doing the jobs that require a large labor force. Men catch the fish and women take care of them and also sell them when it comes to the fishery aspect of agriculture. When it comes to livestock, men and women oftentimes do about the same amount. The women may clean all the equipment, clean the barns, and the men are still the ones who run the machinery. The men and women both participate in the planting and harvesting of the food for the crops for the livestock. In many ways, the agriculture industry is a great way for families to work together. Children are also very involved in agriculture. This happens because such a large number of families own or work in the agriculture industry. Children are taught at a young age that they need to help their parents on the farm. They often do the same jobs as their parents. If the child is a female, they will oftentimes do, most of the jobs that their mothers do, depending on how difficult the task is. If the child is a male, they will often be seen alongside their father doing the same jobs as him. This also depends on how tough the task is. In the United States, many people have post-secondary education to be able to do the jobs listed above, but this is not the case in the Philippines. Education isn't a huge concern in their culture. Most of the adults who work on farms or own farms have an elementary education, and that is it. I found this so fascinating. Out of all the women who work in agriculture, only 1/4 of them have a post-secondary education. This education could either include high school, college, or postgraduate school. Most of the men go straight from elementary school to farming. The children are the same way. Many of them work straight through their elementary schooling years, and then many of them never move on to a college or university. Half of them never even complete high school. This goes to show that gender and education don't have a huge effect on working in the agriculture industry in the Philippines. Women play important roles in Philippine agriculture just like the men do. The Philippines produces many crops, and a large amount of those crops are exported. A large amount of the total jobs are agricultural related. Many of these jobs are done by women and children right alongside the men. Education isn't a huge factor that is considered when someone gets a job in the industry. More and more people are needed to work in the agriculture industry all the time because it is constantly growing.